What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna get out here real quick. This is gonna be, well, to you guys, it's gonna be my first ride on my new 2011 Gsx-R Gixxer 750. I've had the bike now for about a week, so I've really gotten a chance to get used to it a little bit. Have not fully opened it up yet. I haven't done a top speed run, which probably gonna hold off on doing that for a little bit. I'm gonna do a couple other things that I want to do to it first, but I'm gonna start the bike up and get going. So the bike's already been warmed up. I was out on it earlier. Gonna go ahead and just take it on a quick ride and talk about it for a bit. So cruising on the Gixxer is definitely a lot different from my 2005 CBR 600. The tank here is definitely wider. I'm not sure if it holds my knees better. I think now that I'm used to it, it seems about the same. I know when I first rode it for the first 2 days, maybe, it felt a little weird. The weight transfer on the bike felt weird as well. I've always talked about this, my CBR and every other Honda that I've ever ridden. I swear that is probably the best handling bike that I've rode, besides the Ducati V4S that I rode before. There's just something about the way that Honda sets up their bikes and the suspension and everything else. Like the CBR just it literally dives in the corners without you having to really do anything at all. I know with my CBR, the weight on it, I'm pretty sure it was about 420 some pounds wet, which this bike is the same weight. But the weight of the CBR versus the Gixxer 750, I think the weight is just in different places. I'm sorry for the wind noise if you can hear it, but it's probably going to start raining soon. I'm going to try to hurry up and get this over with. But the weight transfer versus both bikes are absolutely different. Now on this bike, I do have a shorty Two Brothers Black Series exhaust on it, which there is no cat, which occasionally it will throw an FI light or an F1 light on the dash, which usually just goes away. Sometimes you ride it for 2 or 3 minutes, turn the key off, turn the engine off, and the light will go away. So it's really not a big deal. But with having a bike without the cat, it does let off a whole lot more fumes than a bike with a cat, obviously, and it's a whole lot louder. It can be a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, if you're just trying to creep around and rip around and do things, it might be a bad thing because people are going to hear you from much more of a longer distance. But as far as people hearing you to know that you're there, it's probably a good thing. But then at the same time, you know, some of these drivers out here, they claim that they don't hear you, Just like in my unfortunate situation, the driver claimed he didn't see or hear me, but we all know how that was. Getting back to the bike, since I've gotten used to it, it seems like it leans over pretty well. Like I said, the weight between this and my CBR 600 is about the same. Just the weight's in different places, that's all. And you can hear the backfires from that Two Brothers Black Series exhaust, which sounds really, really, really good. It does shoot fire occasionally. I'm gonna try to let this Volkswagen get ahead of me. It's a nice little road. It has some pretty decent corners in it. Like, people know I'm not like really too crazy about corners. I've been getting into them a lot more this season. Only because I've been trying to learn body position and everything. This bike, now that I'm used to it, seems like it dives in corners a little bit easier. It does come with a factory KYB steering dampener, which is speed sensitive. So the faster you go, the stiffer the steering does get. There's been a few times where I've been able to see, or I should say I've been able to feel, where the steering dampener has definitely done its job and came into play, going over bumps and things like that. Steering dampener has definitely came in, and you really can feel it, because on my CBR, if you're in a corner or you're going over a bump on the highway and you can feel the handlebars, you know, jiggle a little bit. Nothing like a speed wobble or anything like that. You can feel the handlebars jiggle, but on this bike, as soon as it, I guess as soon as the shock wave of hitting that bump goes through the bike, or it hits the steering dampener, I don't really know how that works, it immediately will suck it up. Now, I know some people say that the steering dampeners that come stock from the factory really aren't that good, but you know, knock on wood, I have not had any problems with this one. Other than that, I mean, cruising in 5th, 6th gear, I mean, once we get on the highway, I'll show you exactly what the big differences are between a 600 and a 750, because some people will say, you know, there's really no difference at all, which that is an absolute lie. An absolute lie. Backfires, pops, popcorn, whatever you want to call it.
You like popcorn. It makes your teeth go pop, 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 pop.
Seem too fast on camera, but so far, I mean, I've been able to get it into the mid 150 range, nowhere near the rev limiter, or nowhere near red line in 4th gear, you know, so 2 more gears to go. So it really does top out at that 186 mark that everyone has made YouTube videos about. Even from 3rd gear it pulls. So now on a 600, 3rd gear being at, you know, 6,000 or 5,000 RPMs, you would have that dead spot unless your bike had a power commander. And even with the power commander on a 600, that was my big drawback with upgrading, because I was going to get another 600, and I was thinking about getting a 1000 as well, but this was really what I wanted. This has I mentioned it, it feels somewhat like a leader bike because of the way that it's geared and how it can basically get out of its own way. I feel the dimensions of this bike it's a 600 basically, you know, just tuned. That's what some people call it. So the 2011 Gixxer 750, it comes from the factory with 150 horsepower and 64 foot-pounds of torque. The horsepower is up about 30 horsepower from normal 600s, but you really don't feel the horsepower, obviously, until you get high up. With this bike, I mean, it does have enough torque for you to notice the difference going from a, say, Gixxer 600 to a Gixxer 750, but you really don't notice how much power this bike has until you take it at least up until about 9 grand. That's when the bike really comes alive and you really see the potential that this bike has. So I'm in 6th gear now. Be able to tell from the video of how easily this bike will pull in 6th gear, but just take my word for it. This is only a quarter throttle right here and it's pulling. Here's about a half throttle. Where the torque and the horsepower numbers come into play with the Gixxer 750 is once you get it in that sweet spot. And I want to say the sweet spot on this bike in any gear is going to be over about, I want to say like 5,500 or over like 6 grand is when it really starts to hit. And then once you get over that 8-9 grand mark, it'll really start to wake up even more. Them things sound like fireworks. I think I might have picked the wrong time to do a highway run. I'm really not doing a highway run, but I really wish the highway is a little bit empty. Everyone's, you know, they're tired of staying in. But anyway, back to the bike. It definitely feels a lot smoother. Obviously, because it's a 2011, it feels a lot smoother than my 05. I've ridden some older CBR 1000s, and they feel real big, bulky. I mean, a little bit heavier. Now, like I was saying, this has 150 horsepower from the factory. My bike does have a Power Commander 5 in the trunk. I'm not sure what kind of tune that it has loaded into it, but I'm almost positive that it's definitely making this bike come more alive, obviously. But with 150 horsepower from the factory, even the older CBR 1000s, they have only 155 or 160 horsepower max from the factory, or even some tuned CBR 1000s, you can only squeeze that much horsepower out of it. One thing that I do hate about this bike are these mirrors. Everybody knows about these notorious Gixxer mirrors. Like, for some reason I cannot get the mirror to angle up to where I can see out of it, so I'm gonna have to like duck down. I can see when I'm tucked, but I like to be able to look. I look in my mirrors at least every 5 seconds, it seems like. I like to be aware of everything, and to not be able to look through the mirrors, I mean, I love the mirrors on the Gixxer because they have the signals built into them, but for some reason I cannot tilt them up anymore. It feels like I'm just gonna break them, and that's the last thing I want to do. And also they just kind of move on their own, little flimsy mirrors. But that's the only thing that I found so far that I do not like. I'm hoping there's a fix for it. If there is a fix out there for the Gixxer mirrors, somebody comment down below and let me know what else I can do for these mirrors, because it really does get annoying having to bend down to just look through the mirror just to see who's behind me, or just casually riding down the road. Like I said, when I'm tucked, the mirrors are perfect. Exhaust sound in your ear the whole ride, but this bike seems to handle it really well. The fuel tank on this bike is about 4.5 gallons, if I'm not mistaken. It seems like since I've gotten this bike, you know, obviously I've been trying to ride it and learn it and things like that, but it seems as if, I'm not sure if the tune on the bike and the power commander is causing me to get lower gas mileage, but definitely the gas mileage is, it's maybe if I cruised in 6th gear all the time or cruised in a higher gear all the time, then it would be a little bit better. And it's actually capable of cruising in a higher gear because the gear ratios are a whole lot different than a 600, and that's what I was talking about before, that people say that going from a 600 to a 750 there's no difference, but there is a tremendous difference in the 750 for sure. You will not be disappointed. I knew that I didn't have much gas, but now as you see the gas lights on, that's another thing that, I mean, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. My CBR definitely had a gas gauge on it, which made it a little bit more convenient whenever you were out somewhere, you were far away, or you didn't know where there was a gas station out close by. You knew exactly how much gas that you had, and even when you only had like 1 bar showing on the meter, at least you knew exactly how long you had to go. I have not tested this one out yet. Whenever it blinks, I'm sure you probably have like, you know, maybe 20 or 30 miles, maybe. But I'm really not going to be the one to test that out. Maybe there's probably other videos out there that'll show you that, but I'm pretty sure if I just would have babied it and left it in 6th gear and cruised down this highway, the gas light wouldn't be on right now. But I mean, who wants to do that? There's no fun in that. So one thing that I think I'm going to try to do is do a few add-ons. I'm not sure if someone can maybe comment down below and let me know if it's possible I can add an auto blipper to this bike. I know for sure I can add a quick shifter, but it would be really nice to add an auto blipper just to have, like, you know, some modern technology on the bike. For 2011, I'm not sure which one during that time was the best-selling, you know, 600 or liter bike at the time. But I mean, to be very honest, I'm not being biased towards Honda or Suzuki or anything like that. I am just telling it like it is. I think this 750 is more than capable. I'm not really sure. I can maybe look up and throw some stuff on the screen of how much this was back in 2011. But I'm sure it was probably up there, most likely in the $9,000 or $10,000 range, and maybe even more, who knows. The brakes feel pretty good. I'm just not understanding why they have a Nissan master cylinder, and then they have the Brembo calipers down at the bottom. Now the rear brakes, the rear is just missing, which I don't understand why they did that. If they wanted to put Brembo calipers on, why not just spend the extra money and put on the Brembo master cylinder as well? Another thing that's different about this bike versus the CBR is the tank. I've never had a bike that had an actual metal tank. I've owned obviously 2 CBRs, and it's an actual plastic, you know, fairing cover over top of the metal tank, which is a whole lot different. Even when putting gas in your bike, you can actually, you know, see the tank part, like the bottom of the tank. On the CBRs, I mean, it seems like the tank goes forever. It's like a never-ending black hole, pretty much. One thing I have noticed with just my bike, I'm not sure if my friend Hunter's bike does the same thing. I notice when I try to take off somewhat aggressively, I'm not sure if it's the tune, but it kind of holds me back a little bit, and then the power starts to kick on, if that makes any sense for anybody. Actually, another thing on this bike, there is a mode switch, which is right here. It's like a trigger, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the mode A. There's mode A and B. From what I hear, mode A is considered like race mode. I'm gonna have to go home and read the manual, because honestly, I mean, who really reads manuals anymore? People just usually just go out and do what they need to do, and then eventually read the manual when they, I guess, have a problem or want to know something. But I definitely can notice the difference from, you know, the regular mode. When you start the bike, it's in just like a standard mode, and I can notice from when you start the bike and then put it in the A mode and then put it in the B mode, can definitely notice the difference. I'm going to show you a little bit right here. So we're going to go into 2nd gear. it pulled pretty nice. I was only like maybe a half throttle, maybe less than that. So I'm gonna let go of the throttle. I'm gonna put it into B mode, and I'm gonna try the same thing here, hopefully. Way different, way delayed. And usually in B mode, all that it really is, from what I was told, it's the throttle response. It doesn't have a real aggressive throttle response. It's, you know, they call it like the 600 mode, but in the top end is when you get all the power. So it's technically not a 600, or not in 600 mode. And you can instantly feel the difference with every move that you make. So I'm gonna put it back in A mode. And you can definitely feel the difference right there. I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm not sure if there's anything else that I forgot to talk about. If there's anything else that I did forget to talk about, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know if there's any other videos you would like me to make with this bike. I do have a lot of things planned with the video content with this bike, and I do have a lot of things planned with hopefully, you know, this riding season. And you know, everything with this pandemic has really slowed a lot of stuff down. Was supposed to be really not even in the state of PA at the beginning of May. Was supposed to be down south, you know, making some moves and doing some things with some cool people. But I realized, you know, over time that things do happen for a reason. And as well as that unfortunate, my accident, I do realize that did happen for a reason as well. I was kind of down on myself when it did happen, and I was telling one of my friends that, you know, things happen for a reason, but I bet you that something good is gonna come out of this. And something, you know, something obviously came good out of it. I mean, my life was not taken. I was able to get up and ride my bike home. You know what I mean? I wasn't in the hospital for a month in ICU and things like that, because, you know, some motorcycle accidents, they turn out really, really, really bad. So I was fortunate enough to be blessed enough to still be here and be able to ride a month later after my accident. But you know, other good things that have came out of the accident, you know, I was obviously able to turn around and get this, but that's going to be a separate video for another time. Comment down below and let me know what your thoughts is on this bike. I really do like it. I'm glad I you know, waited and didn't just really jump on everything that I was seeing, because there's a lot of bikes out there with high miles, and you know, there's just a lot of bikes out there that are just not worth it. People are asking a premium top dollar for them, and it's just like, it makes no sense of why. You know, I got this bike for a really, really fair, well, I got it for a really good price. There is 78, now there's 7,800 miles on it. I'm pretty sure I bought it with 7,200 miles. So I've been riding this bike since I've got it. I've had it for a week now. Definitely been riding it. But like I'm saying, I'm going too far into stuff. Go ahead, smash the subscribe button. Go ahead, give this video a thumbs up. Turn on your post notifications and stay tuned for new content that's uploaded with this bike, new content that's uploaded throughout this whole summer with many different people and many different places that we're going to be. Stay tuned, guys, and be safe out there.